Hello and welcome to tonight's stream. My name is Robert Hazy from Do Adrift Esports, and I'll hand you over now to our commentary team, Zach and Nick.
the Ford has not got the legs tonight. I need a more open circuit. So survival of this track, and I'm going to try and get through no incidents, but good luck to me.
Yes. Oh boy.
Hey guys, I just got a
yes, hello, Rob.
Someone mentioned there was no sound. I've fixed the problem. I apologise. I don't know what caused that, but it seems to be working now. I've got the thumbs up that it's all good, so we are good for the race.
Beautiful. So was that no? That was on our server as well as. No, I thought it was just a YouTube problem you were highlighting there, but it was actually the whole thing. So good evening to everybody. Apologies that you've heard absolutely bugger all from me so far in the first 4 minutes, but I still send the invoice the same. Don't worry about that. So the grid is set. We are ready to rock and roll. This is round 6 of the championship. I'll do some patch-up work now for those of you that are just finally getting across what we're saying. Dennis Gaderick and Jeff Connell share the front row. Brenton Hobson and Maverick Benson the second row. Emmerich Candola and Richard Hunter the third row. Ross Ponting and Gary Cousins the fourth row. Trent Lavis and Jackson Ray Hunter the fifth row. Top 8 separated by 1 second. It's a championship that's had 4 different winners so far. Emmerich Candola, the last of those last week when we went racing on the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit in Great Britain. And Brenton Hobson, the clear leader in the championship at this stage. So welcome to those of you that are tuning in across Facebook Live, Twitch, and also YouTube on Do It Drift Esports as we get set to go. Our second visit to California in 4 days. Production cars and stock cars rock and roll around Sonoma on Friday night. Now the GT cars get their turn here at the world famous WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. This circuit, 11 corners, or 12, depending upon which school you went to, because they've got another situation where the corkscrew is listed as 8 and 8A. Don't get me started on that rubbish yet again. But we've got, that will be one of the trouble points of the circuit. We've got some speculations, some skeptics not sure if we'll get through the first lap cleanly. 1 fast repair limit here. And the Ferrari on pole position. So getting ready to go. Pace car pulls off. Let's get rocking and rolling from WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. Round 6 of the GT Series from the second season of the 2020 for the German Sim Racing Club. Bringing away very quickly. Dennis Gaderick didn't muck around, because when you see that green flag, it can go racing. Already up there on the inside, Brenton Hobson having a look at Jeff Connell as well. Phil getting safely away as they run down to turn 1. Hobson looking up on the inside, and Connell couldn't get the job done. Connell holds on to second spot, and the field is safely through except for 1 on the inside there at turn 1. Jared Daly is facing the wrong way and is now sitting right at the back of the field.
He just had that skin made up for his car as well. He was really happy about it.
Well, he's got plenty of airtime for it, and he actually mentioned in the lead up to the broadcast, I hope I'm on the stream for the right reasons tonight. Sorry, Jared, not today. Field makes its way through for the first time. Gary Cousins made a good start. Just in behind Trent Lavis there, so Lavis getting the early jump on Gary Cousins there. They were 8th to 9th on the grid, now to the corkscrew for the first time. Is this where trouble awaits on lap 1? No. Everybody pretty sensibly and safely through there on the opening lap. Whether they can continue that up for 45 minutes or not remains to be seen. Now, 45 minutes, 32 laps, either or, whichever comes first. We saw last week that we got to the designated number of laps about 3 seconds before the time certainty come into the equation. So we'll see how that goes this week. Across the line we go, another lap in the books. The first of the race, the second of the night, with the first one being the formation lap. To turn 1 they go. Spinner at 1. Oh, jeez. Richard Hunter was a sitting duck there for a moment, but he did a nice enough job to get out of the way, get to the inside of the circuit, use the runoff area, or the rejoin area from the pit exit there. Everyone's able to keep going, but Richard Hunter has lost 4 or 5 spots as a result of that. So Gaderick a nice start, leading by 3.5 seconds almost over Jeff Connell, Brenton Hobson. Richard Hunter still under immense pressure here. To give you an indication of how much time he's lost, Pete Matson's up there on his outside. Now Pete was 16th at the end of the lap. Richard was 7th. And Trent Lavis has also lost time, and he's in there fighting for position as well. And now Matson's in the dirt. And they did very well to avoid him spinning across the racetrack. You know, if we get through this first 3 laps cleanly, A, it's a miracle, and B, I think we might be on for a clean race, which would be extraordinary.
Who knows? Who knows? I reckon we can do it.
Absolutely. They've impressed us so far. Across the line we go. Another lap in the books. Coral's broken a little bit clear of Hobson there. Candola. Benson, Ponting, Cousins, Rohana and Schreier make up the top 9. Rohana's a little bit further up the road there, of course. They're watching Emmerich Candola following Brenton Hobson. You just saw Rohana coming through at the back a shot. So, Gaderick's opened up a 3.7 second advantage. It's then another second from Connell back to Hobson. But Hobson's under tremendous pressure. Candola, Benson, then, trouble. We've got James Wilkins, who was running 11th on the edge of the road there on the run between 4 and 5. He has been able to rejoin, but even Nick's got by him. So Wilkins has lost a lot of time there as well. And that's the thing. If we stay green, mistakes are going to be more costly than ever tonight. Michael Porter's in race control. He's going to keep us across any penalties or any incidents that need reviewing as the evening goes on. He'll do that via SMS or message communication, so we'll relay that to you as soon as we get it, folks.
Paul Jansen has fallen out with internet troubles, and Jared Daly has retired.
So, not a great night at the office for those two. Specifically Jared Daly, let's be honest. So that was a shocker running into turn 1 there. Further down the order, there's Richard Hunter on his way back through. He's running 12th at the moment. Emmerich Candola under pressure from Maverick Benson, but also trying to apply the pressure to Brenton Hobson. Marvellous performance last week from Emmerich Candola. Of course, remember, we've had 4 different winners in the championship thus far. Jeff Connell, Brenton Hobson, Dennis Gaderick, and Emmerich Candola. And it should be no surprise to anyone to learn that they are 1, 2, 3, and 4 in this car race at this point in time. Up into the corkscrew. You just have to see it to believe it and appreciate how low they go through the corkscrew, how big the drop is from the top of the circuit to the bottom. And then that downhill, fast-flowing left-hander that brings them around turn 9 to 10, then up to 11 where they are now. Onto the main straight, another lap in the books. So that'll be the end of lap 4 here. Gaderick, Connell, Hobson, Candola into lap 5. Nick, how's the first few laps fared for you, mate?
I'm up to 21st from 24th, so just hanging tough. Watching all the stuff happen in front. Not really pushing. I just want 0 incidents.
Fair enough. Pete Knutson's just rejoined the circuit as well. Trent Lavis just going by him there, so he's now a lap down. We're riding on board with Trent at the moment. Nick Windsor ahead of him. And, of course, Richard Hunter ahead of them. Trent Lavis has David Johnson right on his tail at this point in time. So a 4-way fight here for 11th, 12th, 13th and 14th. Hunter made light work of Windsor on his way back through the field. But there's a long way to go in this race. Good to see Trent back on the grid, of course. Returned to the stock car grid last Friday night, back on the GT grid tonight. Was a championship contender in the last GT Series. Reminder, of course, this is the 2nd season of the GT Series in 2020 for the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Central Coast Subaru, LJ Hooker, Gaindar and Oculair. Right here on Do a Drift Esports as they make their way up towards turn 11. You're riding on board with Trent Lavis. You just have to appreciate how good this circuit is. And it looks better from the onboard shot. Let's be perfectly honest.
Pretty iconic track. Pretty iconic track for anyone who grew up on simulators and gaming and everything back in the day, isn't it, Zach?
Well, exactly right. And let's not forget, Mick Doohan raced in the 500cc's here in the early 90s. They stopped going there for a few years between 95 and 2004. Then IndyCar, or Champ Car as it were, has a rich history at this venue. And we've seen that broadcast on our screens for over 30 years now across either subscription or free-to-air television. And there are so many historic moments in North American motorsport that date back to this circuit. And, of course, IndyCar has only returned there in recent years. Were due to go there for a doubleheader this year, won't be because of COVID, the bloody virus that's ruining everything at the moment.
Who was it the other night who said that they used to race on it on Gran Turismo and didn't even know it was a real racetrack? back in the day.
I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but I remember the comment. And that's the thing, like, it's a hidden gem for us, for Australian audiences, because you don't see it too often. But for the Americans, this is one of the world famous venues that they have. And World Superbikes have raced here in the past. Just pick your category, and just about every one of them have had a crack at this venue. So it's great that we get to have a crack here tonight with the Gentleman Sim Racing Club and the GT Series. Watching Jeff Connell now, second position. 4.3 seconds the margin from him up the road to Dennis Gaderick. And at the moment, it's fair to say that it's Dennis Gaderick's race to lose, Nick. The Ferrari is just cruising into the sunset. Excuse me.
Yeah, he's just, obviously he's got the pace there now. He's just got to take it easy and know when to hold him, know when to fold him, and know when to play all these cards when he needs to. So
exactly,
it's a long race. You got to. Some of our new members are obviously learning how to do a longer race, figuring it out. So Dennis is not new, so he knows how to play out the long game, so to speak.
Indeed. Hey, well, that's No, I'm hearing you.
Oh man, driving and talking is a bit hard.
Not wrong. I'll only come back to you if I have to. There you go. I'll do my best to let you focus on the task at hand. For those of you that are AFL supporters, Geelong played St Kilda this evening up here at the Gabba. Geelong getting the job done. The next game, Fremantle in action, so that's starting at around 20 to 9. I'll update you on quarter time and half-time scores before we go off air here this evening. Dennis Gaderick leads by 4.4 seconds to Jeff Connell. Brenton Hobson then in behind them. Emmerich Candola, Maverick Benson. Then Ross Ponting. In sixth position, there is the man we're looking at right now, Ross Ponting. I just mentioned him. He's 13 seconds off the leaders here. And then this gaggle of cars in behind with Trent Lavis, Nick Windsor, and the like on the run up towards turn 5. Lots of undulation, lots of fast-flowing corners, a couple of tight ones as well, namely, of course, the corkscrew and the last corner. And turn 1 is not a fast corner either, but it's got a little bit more flow to it than the previous two. It's a double apex left-hander. Up over the corkscrew, down they go.
That corkscrew's always been the bane of my race.
Yes, mine too. And I'm really surprised we didn't get an incident there on that one.
No, my problem is I get overly eager. I start gaining places up the hill, and I think, oh, this is great, and it's because they've all started braking and I haven't.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly. that realisation that...
Doing a Zanardi and go across the dirt.
That's what I do.
Exactly.
That's another one of my shortcuts there, right? Straight down.
Of course, Valentino Rossi and Casey Stoner had an epic battle which involved the dirt at the corkscrew in 2008. We won't forget that in a hurry. There's no doubt about that. We're watching the 169 here, of course, of David Johnson. In behind him is Curtis Porter, then Warwick Sharp, Simon Ferris and Daniel Aish. They're all using a bit of dirt there on the exit of turn 3 as well, into turn 4 on the run up to turn 5. But that's the thing. The circuit, I reckon if we had XLs on the circuit tonight, the corkscrew would have been in trouble because they tend to stay a little bit closer together than what we do in the GT cars. it would have been pack racing up until the corkscrew and then every man for himself. So I'm a little bit glad that we've got through the first, 12 and a half minutes into the race without needing the safety car as yet. Don't speak too soon, it's not over. There's still a long way to go here. Dennis Gaderick by 5 seconds now. He's opened up the margin. And he's just slowly but surely pulling away. Looking good for his third win of the season tonight, but still half an hour to go here, and then some. He has completed lap 9. He's on lap 10. Is Dennis Gaderick. We're with the 23 of Adam Lavis here. On his run down into turn 1. Following Nick Windsor through. Just a reminder, of course, a mix of different cars out there. Audi, McLaren, Mercedes, Ford, BMW, and also, of course, I know I'm missing one, Ferrari. Why is it that I missed the most obvious one? Of course, the Ferrari is leading the way in Dennis Gaderick. You're watching the Ford there of Nick in action. You're right on board with him now under the bridge. Firestone Bridge there through turn 4 on the run up to turn 5. Just having a look, he's chasing Paul Wood at the moment actually, but the margin's 6 seconds between them. So there is lap traffic between him and Wood at the moment. Not exactly the finest start of the night for your teammate, Paul Wood.
I got a feeling he hit Jared Daly, so he tried to redress it, and he's making his way back through the field now.
Gotcha. Fremantle the call through on that other AFL game coming up too, folks, for those of you that are interested, but we want you to stay with us first and watch the AFL on the second screen. So Dennis Gaderick, Jeff Connell, Brenton Hobson, those top 3 with Emmerich Candola in 4th. Nothing's changed there tonight. They started 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 5th. And Candola's the only man that's moved up to 4th, displacing Maverick Benson. So again, it's that BMW.
Hey Nick, while you're about to cross the finish line and I've got you up on the screen, you want to give us a run through the track?
Good idea.
Well, this is actually what they register as turn 1 through this kink. Coming down, break at the full board, into the Andretti hairpin, double apex. This thing doesn't want to turn, but I'll try my best. Run up to the newer section of the circuit. This used to be in the dry bed of the lake. 90-degree right-hander. Take it in second. Under the Firestone Bridge. Another faster right-hander, close to 90 degrees. Slight dab of the brakes. Up to what we call turn 5. It's got a bit of a weird apex, this one. Then continuing on the old circuit, rejoining the old circuit. Up the hill, turn 6. This is a quick apex. Got to get it just right, not go off the road, and then you're up the hill. And they've taken the hump, a little bit of the hump out of here on the way up the hill here, on the way up to the corkscrew. So a car on the right apparently. Corkscrew, try not to do a Zanardi too much. My teammate spun out through the rainy curve. It's probably the best corner on the circuit. Down here through this one, there's another right-hander, down the Rahal straight into the final turn, probably the best passing spot on the circuit. Back to first gear. Paul hates this track. He hates it just as much as I hate Sebring. So, he's doing his best, but I don't think he's going to do too well tonight. Just the mentality you get in when you hate a circuit and you're doing bad.
Oh yeah, it's a frustrating night at the office, no doubt about that. Thanks for that, mate. Nicely talked through. As I said, Ferrari, BMW, Mercedes at the front of the field leading this race at the moment, and we're taking interest in how Nick fares in the Ford because it's one of the minorities in the field. There's also a McLaren and an Audi out there as well that just haven't had the same prevalence as... Oh, here we go, 2 cars off. That's over at turn 6 on the run up towards the corkscrew. Simon Ferris was 1. And I think it might have been David Johnson in with him. No, it was actually Simon Ferris. So Simon Ferris and Warwick Sharp. Wow. Didn't look like there was any contact there whatsoever. It's just that they got unstuck on the marbles and went for a detour through the kitty litter.
It's because I switched camera across to them today. That's what it is.
Yeah, the director's curse, we call that.
It was almost instantly when I switched the camera across.
It certainly was. Absolutely. Hey, Jackson Rayhana sitting there in 8th spot at the moment. He's showing up on my iRacing screen at this point in time, having a great run. He's trying to chase down Gary Cousins. There he is on your screen. Nick, fuel burn here. You believe there'll be a pit stop tonight?
Yeah, I'm doing roughly 2.3 litres a lap. I'm short by roughly 19 litres.
Okay. So it'll be a very quick sort of pit stop in the closing stages there.
I'll be stopping in 12.
Okay, so that'll get us up to about 25.
Yep.
Yeah. James Wilkins has also, I believe, dropped out of the race. So James Wilkins, Jared Daly out of the race, Paul Jensen a non-starter. So a couple of our boys having some internet problems tonight. As it was highlighted earlier before we went on air, with 4 million or 5 million Victorians trying to log onto the internet at the same time to keep themselves sane, that was always going to be a problem at some point along the way in this series. Jackson Rayhana under pressure here from Michael Schreier. The battle for 8th and 9th, and Rayhana getting a little bit of a run up or a hurry up through turn 2. So it's interesting, isn't it? Because, and this comes back to the inconsistency of cornering number on the American circuits. The kink there halfway along the main straight is counted as a corner. The kink between turn 4 and 5, however, which these guys have just gone through, Rayhana and Schreier, not counted as a corner. And then they go up to the corkscrew, instead of calling it 7, 8 and 9, they just call it 8 and 8A. So yeah, there's a few instances where you could probably say that there's more than 12 corners on this circuit. But I'm not, I better not get into that debate right now because someone will get upset, I'm sure. Rayhana into the corkscrew. One more time. So it's lap 14 of the race. Dennis Gaderick next time by the line. It'll be, actually he's already crossed the line to start lap 15. 19 minutes 14 seconds. So on those numbers, if we go green all the way, we'll finish before the 45-minute mark at this rate. And I don't think any of us were banking on there being a green flag all the way race here. So it's been a very nice performance from all the drivers to keep it clean. And avoid incidents and avoid trouble and avoid, angst in the chat server as well. Through what Nick was saying there, turn 9, of course, the rated curve, then into 10 and on the run up to 11 now. Up on the inside, Richard Hunter getting the job done on Warwick Sharp. That was the 5.55 on the 222. So Hunter moves through and moves into 19th. And Sharp is 20th. Behind them is Nick, but it's a fair gap, about 3 seconds from Sharp. Oh, sorry, from Sharp to Nick at this point in time. Warm welcome to those who are tuning in via Facebook Live. Reminder, you can also watch the coverage on Twitch and YouTube as well. Is YouTube full HD, Rob?
I believe so, but without being able to go and check it, which I'll do when it finishes, I'll be able to tweak it so it's all good. So tonight...
Check on your phone.
Tonight is the use my phone for the stream.
Right.
Tonight is the test. Cool. I do have the streaming mode YouTube up, and it looks pretty good. But I'll have to go back and make it full screen and check that it's all nice and HD. But if it's not tonight, it will be for the next race.
Which is, of course, coming up on Wednesday night from, well, we go back to the East Coast on Friday night, Detroit, Michigan. And I'm looking forward to that as well, the Grand Prix of Belle Isle circuit. Yes, and we don't do street fights very often, so looking forward to that. The up-and-comers in the open wheelers, and then, of course, TCR and GT4 as well. So it's Wednesday night from around 7:30 right here on Villa Drift Esports. And then we go further east for, of course, the fight at Watkins Glen production cars and stock cars on Friday night. And that'll be coming your way from 6:30 as well. What will be the next mission to improve the graphics coverage that you're seeing? And this might be part of 2.0, which Rob's been teasing for a few weeks now, is to, as I remind you of what's coming up on Villa Drift Esports, have that come up on the screen for you folks. Make it Channel 9 sort of rugby league style when they're promoting games ahead. We'll try and do the same thing, I think. So, Dennis Gaderick, Jeff Connell, 1 and 2, 7.3 seconds the margin. Jeff Connell's in the lane. Brenton Hobson now takes second away from him. So we've got I'm just having a look there. Jeff Connell has dropped. Well, actually, I'm just having a look there to see. He wasn't in the pit lane when we crossed to that shot there just a moment ago. So maybe he's made a mistake and come unstuck, because he's now dropped from second to fourth. He had 6 seconds up his sleeve over Brenton Hobson and Emmerich Candola, and now he's sitting 3 seconds behind Emmerich. So I'm not sure exactly what's happened there, if Jeff's made a mistake or not. Whatever the case may be, he won't be happy with fourth at this point in time. Of course, we've been watching a fair few other fights develop around the circuit. There's battles going everywhere you look at this point in time. It's Conolentis' corkscrew once more. He's just ahead of Maverick Benson there. Ross Ponting, Gary Cousins arguing, well, actually not so much over 6th and 7th. And Ray Hana under pressure from Michael Schreier for 8th, 9th and 10th. Jamie Welch is 3 seconds down the road from them, so that's lap traffic in behind them at this point in time. So that battle between Ray Hana and Schreier continues. And it's been 0.8 of a second for a while now. Really good fight for 8th in the motor race. And I believe, without having looked at the score sheet, I'll have a look at it now. Jackson Ray Hana, if he can stay where he's at, this will be his best finish of the GT series, with the exception of round 3 on the Charlotte Roval, where he finished in 6th position. Everything else has been outside the top 10 or even outside the top 20. So it's been that the Charlotte Roval and Laguna Seca have really agreed and really worked for him. So that's good to see from him. He's probably the busiest sim racer in the club at the moment, in terms of he's in every broadcast that we bring you here on Do a Drift Esports, and loving every single bit of it. But just to be, and Nick knows this because he races in the GT4s and TCRs, he races in the stock cars and he races in the GT3s as well. Just being able to adapt from car to car, Nick, and track to track, and that versatility, it serves you well in the long run, but it's tiring when you're working 3, 4, maybe 5 times a week in the sim racing.
Yeah, I also include F3. We do F3 on Thursday nights. Not at this club, but at another club. And then he does the Legends, the kind of like Aussie race cars on a Saturday night with another club.
Is there a busier man in sim racing in Australia than Jackson Ray Hana at this point in time? I probably think not. Across the line they go. Another one in the books. So this battle is ongoing, and it just looks as though, I mean, they're both running a Merc, so let's be honest, they're fairly evenly matched to begin with. But it just looks as though Ray Hana's got Shreyas Mesha. And as I say that, Ray Hana goes to the inside and Schreier went to the outside on the run up to turn 3, but wasn't able to get the job done. And as I say, it just looks as though, as we have a look at this ongoing battle for 17th and 18th, that's, of course, Richard Hunter and Simon Ferris. We'll stick with this, and I'll come back to the point I was making about Schreier and Ray Hana. Down on the run to turn 1, and look at the defensive work going on here from Simon Ferris. Richard Hunter looks to go down the inside, but runs out of time to make the move.
Richard Hunter's been absolutely smashing through the field, Zach. I've been keeping an eye on him on the map.
Absolutely.
Every time I look at him, his little bubble, his little circle is on top of another circle.
And this is the thing, Rob. He's on a salvation mission or a salvaging mission at the moment, because the night hasn't gone to plan. He did start 6th, and it all went horribly wrong in the early laps. Jeff Connell now in the lane. It's telling me on the monitor here, so he's finally decided to say, "Yep, I'll bite the bullet." And
he's had a big crash
through
as well. Look at his bonnet missing.
Oh no! Well, we're worried about when the crashes might happen tonight. So, is that Jeff Connell over and out, or is that Jeff Connell undertaking a fast repair? We'll find out. I'm really not sure what's happened here, if I'm perfectly honest with you folks. We didn't see it. It's amazing. We've got about 155,000 cameras at our disposal on the iRacing server. But you will only see what's on the broadcast stream, and we'll only see what's on the broadcast stream and what's being shown to us through iRacing, which at times are two different things. So you're not going to see everything that happens out there, so we apologise for that. We might be able to see it for you post-race. Richard Hunter looking down the inside again. Can't get the job done on Simon Ferris. Ferris a little bit wide through 1. Hunter looks to sneak it up on the inside. That's going to put him on the outside for turn 3. Can't do that just yet. What a good fight this is for 12th and 13th in the car race. There are only 13 cars still on the lead lap, but there are a few that haven't transited the lane yet. Really would like to know what happened to Jeff Connell, because he's now right out of contention here. And speaking of contention, look at Richard Hunter. He's going to get the run there. Ferris was wide through turn 6, or turn 5, I should say, on the run to turn 6, and that allows Hunter to capitalise. And job is done. The run up to the corkscrew. Don't think about it, Simon. Not here. Now's not the time to overtake. It's a one-way groove, one-line groove down through there and on the run up towards turn 10. And now Richard's gapped him. Ferris has been left behind. Hunter's gapped him. And that battle is now sorted, and it's in Richard Hunter's favour as Ferris dives for the lane. It's a very interesting entrance here at Laguna Seca. Not the easiest pit lane to enter. And he's done well to get in there, so he's in the lane now. Just going back to that battle.
Jeff Connell's left the lane.
So he will be back out on the racetrack, which is good.
Quick repair.
There he
back
is.
on.
Leaders in.
Down in position 17. Dennis Gaderick now in the lane as well. Trent Lavis a lap down, Nick a lap down. So, well, actually, Nick's just come through to get that lap back. So has Trent. Simon Ferris a lap down, Adam Lavis a lap down, Jeff Connell a lap down, but they'll all get that back now. However, for Connell, the race is not going to end up the way he would have liked tonight. Just going back to, I was talking about Michael Schreier and Jackson Rayhana. It's a bit hard to talk about them now because Rayhana's dived into the pits and Schreier has continued on. But, yeah, it just looked as though Rayhana, the only way he was going to get displaced there by Schreier was if he made a mistake. They were so evenly matched that every time you saw them, no real gains or losses had been made. Schreier was always looking to try and find a way through, but just unable to get close enough. And that just goes to show you how evenly matched the drivers are, but how evenly matched the Merc cars are driver to driver as well, because they do make little tweaks here and there to suit their own driving style, but nothing splitting them on the racetrack tonight. Dennis Gaderick leads this race. Brenton Hobson second. Maverick Benson third. There is Jeff Connell now sitting down in 20th position. The next car behind him is Dennis Gaderick, about to come up and put a lap on him. And there is, actually, sorry, two back. It is Gaderick. Geez, what rotten luck for Jeff Connell. The man that's won the opening round of the GT Series in Season 2 and Season 1 as well. Was in championship contention up until that final round at Mount Panorama in the last series. And now, I wouldn't necessarily consider him a championship contender here.
I do feel like we're going to see him charge through the pack at least, Zach. Could give us something entertaining to watch.
Well, this is very true. We'll keep an eye on him, no doubt about that. I mean, he is sitting 19th at the moment, but if Dennis Gaderick finishes where he is and Brenton Hobson finishes where he is at the moment, they're first and second on the car race in the car race on the track at the moment. They're going to gap Connell by a fair margin because of the way the points matrix works. There's Brenton Hobson coming back out onto the racetrack, and Jeff Connell, who was already 28 points behind Brenton Hobson and 2 behind Dennis Gaderick. This is not the result he was certainly after tonight. Don't forget to next week, folks, Alabama, Birmingham, Barber Motorsports Park is where we're heading for Monday Night Motorsport. There is Gaderick coming round now to go past either Paul Wood or Gary Cousins. Put a lap on them. It is the man in 20th position, which is Paul Wood. So Paul Wood now down another lap. As Gaderick goes round one more time. So Dennis coming back across the line this time will complete lap 23 or 24. I'll get my screen on to Gaderick there. Across the line he goes. Lap 24 now. So 9 laps to go. In fact, I tell you what, they're not going to make 32 laps on those numbers. Oh no, my apologies. I'm reading the wrong clock. we've got race time 32 minutes and elapsed time 36 minutes completely through me. So they should make it just. 9 laps to go. What's that going to be? It'll be touch and go still.
Richard Hunter just fell out. Internet problems.
Richard Hunter's, yeah, righto. So that's the third driver tonight to have internet problems, Nick. That's a real talking point.
Must be Victorians.
Yeah. Well, we're blaming everything else on Victoria at the moment. Why not me?
It's hit the curfew, hasn't it, Nick? So the internet's going to shut down.
8 o'clock. Yep, exactly. No leaving between 8 and... I'm surprised they didn't make a lights out rule for 8 o'clock for Melbourne the way they're going at the moment. Fair dinkum. I know we shouldn't joke about it, but fair dinkum. So 32 and 8. So I'm going to keep an eye on Gaderick's clock time because I'll get an indication of what his race speed is this time round, folks, as he comes up to put a lap on the man in 18th position there, which is, of course, Curtis Porter. You're riding on board with him now. Porter moves out of the way. Gaderick goes alongside and past.
I've been just informed to check your Facebook messages.
I will check that right now.
Bits and pieces for penalties, I'm assuming.
That'll be from our good mate Michael Porter. So I'll get to that in just a moment. Opening it up now. Thank you, Michael. 1:23 that last time around. 8 laps to go. At 11.5 minutes. Yeah, it'll be tight, but I think we should just get there to the 32 number that we were all talking about at the start. Okay. Nothing of note to report thus far. Everyone is racing clean. Jeff Connell lost the rear on his own and had a crash on the exit of turn 4. So that's the news from Michael Porter. Thank you very much, Lee.
Thank you, Race Control.
To Michael Porter in Race Control for that. That's good news to know that, well, obviously we haven't seen anything that was worthy of really reporting. Any incidents that we had seen had been drivers losing it on their own. And the fact that things have gone clean has been really good.
I honestly thought we were going to need a bucket and spade for half the field.
And we haven't, and this is the second time we've been wrong about this series. Everyone's disappointing us, Nick. I mean, we were all saying how good tonight was going to look for the highlight reel and for promotion and everything else, and yet they've gone out and done exactly what they did at Charlotte Roval, or on the Roval, I should say, and kept it bloody clean, which is fantastic. Yeah, absolutely.
The field just getting better and better.
It goes to show the mantra of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club is being upheld at the moment, ladies and gentlemen, which is really good to see. Dennis Gaderick.
If you're interested, once we finish the race, when we do the replays, I'll flick back and see what happened to Jeff so we can get a better idea of what went down.
Exactly, thank you. That'd be great. Had to lose at turn 4, which is, I mean, it's a strange place to have a lose based on where everyone else has had their loss tonight, but it must have been a big impact to have the front off the car the way it did when we saw it in pit lane there. So the ocular shot shows and tells the story there as they come into turn 11 once more around onto the main straight. I hazard a guess that that's Trent Lavis there, following Nick Windsor. Yes, it is. Now that we've taken an on-board shot with Nick Windsor, it makes it a little bit easier to tell. So Windsor holding on to 10th at the moment. And interesting to note that whatever's happened in the pit stops there, Jackson Rayhana has lost out to Michael Schreier to the tune of 12 seconds as well. So don't tell me that Rayhana's done his usual trick of taking tyres when he should.
That's what I thought.
Don't tell me. We'll get stuck into that a little bit later on tonight and we'll find out what's going on. So Lavis and Windsor, we're watching that battle at the moment. We've got Windsor on board for you. Up towards turn number 6. The run up out of there. The long sweeping left up the hill towards the corkscrew. They're on the brakes early for this quarter of the circuit. Such a critical point. Can make and break a lap. It can make or break a race. Make and break a career, that corner. It's one of the world famous corners in motorsport terms. As they make their way through, and Trent Lavis giving Nick Windsor the hurry up here at the moment. Can Lavis find a way by into the top 10, or is he settling for 11th tonight? He's 12 seconds ahead of his brother. He sets up the move. He has a look down the inside, going into turn 11. Nicely done, Trent Lavis. Into the top 10 he goes. And he set that up so nicely. Just waited for the right moment. Patience to virtue, and Lavis is into 10th. Very nicely done. Windsor will look to respond, but I think Lavis, now that he's in clear air, might just have the legs to pull away here. All BMW fight. 10th and 11th. Now Lavis finds himself back inside that 10. And he'll be very happy about that. Dennis Gaderick continues to lead from Brenton Hobson, 13.9 seconds. Emmerich Candola is then giving Hobson a hurry up as best he can at 0.6 of a second, separating that pair at the moment in the closing stages here. 37 minutes 40 seconds, 5 laps to go. We are going to get there, and it is going to be just after the 45-minute mark, so the boys have called it just perfectly tonight on numbers. Very nicely done to all and sundry there. Brenton Hobson, as I say, holding off Emmerich Candola at the moment. We'll get to that battle shortly. Maverick Benson, Ross Ponton, Gary Cousins, Michael Schreier, Jamie Welch, and Jackson Rayhana make up the top 9. Trent Lavis in behind them. But 12 seconds to the advantage. Michael Schreier over Jackson Rayhana, now 7th and 9th respectively, when they couldn't be separated by a coat of varnish for a long while there in the opening stanza of this race.
And as we said, Jeff's just smashing through the field there. I don't know if you were following that, Zach. He's got Gaderick behind him, about to lap him, and he's just not going to let that happen.
No, he's always struck me as a stubborn bloke. He'll be in this for the long haul. Now he's going to let it happen because he's run wide at turn 1 and 2, I should say, at the end of the main straight. So
I don't think that was intentional, judging by what he's doing now. he's right up him. Look at that.
Yeah,
fantastic.
That certainly wasn't intentional, and he'll be very annoyed by that. Will Jeff Connell? He's always been a hard, stubborn sort of racer who will do everything he can to A, stay on the lead lap, B, win races, C, make it challenging to get past. So that looked like just a simple driving error to me.
Do you think
and now he's trying to follow Gaderick through.
Do you think that this could pose a problem for Gaderick if he's taking on someone who's racing him as if they're racing for first?
Well, this is the thing, yeah. Oh no, he's had to lose into the corkscrew! And smashed into the wall, Jeff Connell! Well, that very could have nearly been disaster for Dennis Gaderick, but thankfully Connell went through too fast and didn't collect Gaderick on the way through. In fact, he swept across in front of him.
I'm wondering if it's similar to what happened earlier.
Could well be. I believe the earlier incident, from what Michael was saying, was over at turn 4. That was hairy, but we've been waiting for someone to have a lose through there all night, and it's finally happened, and we were with you for it, ladies and gentlemen. So nice work from Rob there. But you're right, it could have posed a problem. If that incident there had taken Gaderick out, that would have been race over for Dennis. And not that I think just normal fighting would have held Dennis up to the tune of 14 seconds to make him lose this race from either Brenton or Emmerich, but it could have been a lot worse than what it was. In that instance, Jeff Connell did it on his own, took himself out. No harm to anyone else. Fair play on. But yeah, that could have been so much worse. Which again comes back to the point of when you're lapped, it's best to just, be a little bit more patient with it and just let the leaders go, rather than getting involved and potentially ruining someone else's race. But that's a talking point we'll get to later in the night. As the rest of the team rest of the field makes its way through. There is Brenton Hobson, second spot at the moment, got a second over Emmerich Candola. So it's going to be another week where we see those 3 manufacturers on the podium: Ferrari, Mercedes, and BMW. But for the third time this season, Ferrari looks like it's going to get the job done. Next time by the line, Dennis Gaderick will have 2 laps to go. There he is, crossing the line now onto lap 31. So 41 minutes 50 seconds by the line that time around. So yeah, we will be absolutely fine for the time certainty there. So we will get the 32 laps in, which is really, really good to see. Good recovery, actually. Michael Porter just pointing out for Trent Lavis to get into the top 10 there, given that he was on the dirt on his way into the pits. So another incident that we didn't see, but definitely want to check out at the end of the race here. As I said, it's not the easiest pit lane to get into here at Laguna Seca. It's a little bit of a Mickey Mouse left-right sort of job. And we have seen drivers come unstuck there in the past, and obviously it got Lavis tonight. Now, we're riding on board here with Emmerich Candola following Brenton Hobson. This is the battle. It's only 0.7 of a second between them. This is the battle for second. And there's a lap and a half to go. Now, Dennis Gatter can afford to slow down a little bit here, because I don't think, even if he was to cruise around this last lap, that they were hoping in hell of catching him. He's got 13.5 seconds up his sleeve. He's into the last corner to start the last lap. We stick with this battle for second, which is ongoing. And it looks as though Candola's got the better car in the front half of the circuit, but bringing it home is Hobson's strength. And he just gains that little bit extra in the back section of the circuit. So 43 minutes 12 by the line, and Dennis Gaderick is on his last lap. So that's going to get us to about 44.35. So, yeah, that's a fine performance from Dennis Gaderick to get the 32 laps in 44.5 minutes. Round goes Hobson and Candola, turn 2 on the last lap. Again, just watch what I was mentioning there a minute ago. From what we've seen in terms of the onboards, Candola was a lot closer after the first half of the lap than what he was at the end of the lap. So there's just something in that last half of the lap where Hobson has the legs. The margin by the line last time around was 0.7 of a second. And I really don't think Emmerich Candola is going to be close enough to have a look here and to get the job done out of that turn 6 section for the last time on the run up to the corkscrew. This is it, folks, the last lap. We better take a shot of our race leader now, though, Rob, because he's coming into the last corner. Dennis Gaderick, right at this point in time, into the last corner, onto the main straight. 3 wins in this championship for Dennis Gaderick. A nice job. And that keeps his title hopes alive as he gets the job done for Ferrari at Laguna Seca. And very nicely done. Let it all the way. Across the line goes Hobson for second. Candola comes home in third, backing up the win last week in Great Britain. The margin in the end was 1.2 seconds, so Hobson had the legs on the last lap there anyway. 4th place to Maverick Benson. What a fine drive that was. And a rather quiet night at the office for him. Just went about his business, kept to himself, and reaps the rewards with 4th. Ross Ponting, a very nice drive to get 5th. Gary Cousins comes home in 6th. Michael Schreier will be 7th. Jamie Welch is going to be 8th. Jackson Rayhana 9th. And then Trent Lavis, the last of the cars on the league lap, will come home in 10th position there as we keep our eyes on the main straight there to watch the field cross the line. Jeff Connell will come home down the order in position number 15. I'll be interested to hear what happened there. Nick's actually had an all right run. He's going to get home in the top 20 at this point.
Yeah. I kept going off the road at turn 6. So I got 3 off there, and then on the on my 4th one, I spun on the way up the hill.
Yep. I was going to say, that seemed to be a point where a lot of cars were clipping the dirt tonight.
Yeah, look, I just ran wide with a bit of understeer through turn 6, but then when I got to the top of the hill on one particular lap, I mucked up my braking and braked on the crest, which then threw me off the road. So anyway, whatever. I was trying my best. This thing's a handful around here, and I didn't have the speed, but whatever. I got top 20. I'm happy with that.
Why not? Nice result. I mean, you weren't alone. 1 lap down tonight. We only had 10 cars get home on the lead lap. But yes, there was a rate of attrition. Yes, there were a few cars drop out as the night went on. Paul Jensen, Jared Daly, James Wilkins, Richard Hunter, all out, all not finishing. Peter Matson was 7 laps down. Whether he actually finished or not, I'm not exactly sure. And Nick Windsor ended up 2 laps down in the end there as well. But everyone from 11th to 21st was just 1 lap down. Gaderick by 12.6 seconds from Hobson, Candola, Benson and Ponting, the top 5. Really interesting race. Compelling stuff. As surprised as anyone that we didn't get a safety car in all of that. A couple of moments for a couple of notable competitors, including, of course, including, of course, Jeff Connell, who you saw goes flying through the corkscrew. But in the end, that was a very nice job from Dennis Gatterick. And as I said, that's 3 wins for him so far. He got the job done on the 2 rivals and now has got the job done here at the WeatherTech Raceway in Laguna Seca. Jackson Rayhana, first into the chat room, not first in the race tonight. Now tell me, don't tell me that you took tyres in that bloody pit stop again.
Good evening, mate. No, look, I just probably lost a few seconds on the pit entry. It's not something I did too many of, and I had about 13 litres left of fuel at the end of the race, so yeah, a bit too much fuel as well.
Okay.
Just these,
We've all done it.
Yeah, pit lane things. But yeah, look, I was looking at Michael's times. He had about half a second in hand in his lap times at the end of the race, so would have been nice to have come out in front, at least put up a fight. But yeah, look, it was a boring race for me. Ended up in ninth. Look, I'm just happy I didn't have any Gemini drivers to run into this week.
No. I'm not going to touch that with a barge pole. Nick, he said it, not me, okay?
Hey, I was the one who said I ran into him, so
well,
that's me.
Exactly.
That's me taking responsibility.
I know. Hey, just quickly on all of that, the battle between you and Michael Schreier was fantastic. Very little separating you there for a long while, and then obviously what you've explained there with the pit stops. Obviously, that'll be something. Don't have to so much worry about your racecraft and your race speed, mate, because you've got plenty of that. But I dare say one of the things you'll be working on in practice next week when we get to Barber Motorsports Park will be that pit stop sequence.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, these, just little niggling things, just to practice. And yeah, I mean, did all my stuff on paper, and yeah, I don't know, I might have messed up how long the race was and all that stuff. But yeah, no, look, happy with ninth, mate. Happy with that. A top 10 in this series, I'll take any day of the week. Well,
I was going to say that's your second top 10 of the series, from what I was looking at on the championship point standings.
Yeah, look, I was aiming for top 10 in the championship. So yeah, this result will hopefully put me up into, give me a good haul of points and hopefully propel me up a few spots. I lost a few last week, and yeah, a couple of bad rounds. So hopefully, yeah, need some points, and that was a good points haul tonight.
Exactly. Charlotte Roval was, of course, your best result of the season thus far. I think it was position number 6. So nicely done there, mate. Hang around. We'll come back to you very shortly. Paul Nichols, we've got Yanni in the chat room again, so I'm assuming that Yanni secured honours in the Pro-Am server once more. Is Paul Nichols here? No, Paul Nichols isn't here. Yanni, tell us about what happened in the Pro-Am server, please.
It was a good race.
That was crazy.
Sorry. No, it was a great race. Yeah, the first part of the race before the pit stops was pretty tight. Had a few guys behind me keeping me pretty honest. And then, yeah, pit stops happened, and yeah, it was smooth sailing from there. But yeah, it was a tricky one, this one. It was good. Enjoyed it.
Just having a look at the results now. Yanni getting the job done in the Pro-Am server and getting the job done quite nicely. In fact, 12 seconds the winning margin between yourself there and Johannes Koch. And then, of course, we go back to our good mate, Pariana Starkis, rounding out the top 3 there tonight. Paul Nichols was 4th. He'll be happy. He'll be absolutely bloody delighted. And Andrew Goldman rounded out the top 5. So, in layman's terms, that's actually a good result for your championship, Yanni.
Yeah, it is quite good because I managed to get the pole this week as well. The other weeks, Ben's been able to pit me and just haven't been able to catch him. So, yeah, it was quite good. And yeah, happy with that. It's really good.
Indeed. And obviously, Barber Motorsports Park is the next venue, mate. So your thoughts on that provisionally?
Haven't done too many laps on that one, so it's going to be very interesting.
Indeed, it will be. Just having a look at the statistics here as far as Laguna was concerned for your server. So obviously you got the job done, as we mentioned, but no cautions. We were all expecting a caution somewhere along the way tonight. None in the top split, none in the second split. Anyone surprised by that?
A little bit. I would have thought turn 6 would have caught out a few more people and the corkscrew. I mean, there was a few yellow flags thrown, but yeah, no, they managed to clean themselves up pretty quickly and didn't need to throw a caution. So, yeah, that was a bit of a concern before the race, is just staying clear of the carnage, basically. But no, it was pretty well done by everyone in that server, so it was good.
Indeed, it was. And we'll throw the conversation around here in just a moment. Andrew Goldman's in the chat room, I do believe. Is that you there, Andrew?
Yes, it is. Limitless 33.
Limitless 33. Yeah, as soon as I saw 33 and made the correlation between the race number and I thought that's got to be you. Top
Nice,
5
mate.
for you in the Pro-Am server, mate. Your thoughts on that?
Look, it was nice, clean racing. I had a really good battle towards the end with Nico in his ultra-wide Merc. He dumped me in the pit stops, and then when I came out, I was behind him, and yeah, it was interesting.
Indeed. And what are your thoughts on Laguna Seca? Good racetrack?
I don't mind it. It's challenging. It's you've got to be on the limit all the time on this track. I think you've got to push the boundaries, otherwise you don't get a time, and you just got to have your wits about you.
Indeed. And thoughts? I mean, obviously that was round 6, 4 rounds to go. How are you sitting as far as the championship's concerned? What are your thoughts on what's ahead?
Look, I came into the championship third, I think, because a few people got promoted around me.
Yep.
If we can get Yanni promoted up to the pro, that'd be great, and might give me an extra chance. Yeah, look, I'm just going to try and be consistent. I've haven't had a podium yet, but I'm up there, so just steady as she goes.
Nothing like, ladies and gentlemen, when the old wink, wink, nudge, nudge is as subtle as a sledgehammer. Very nicely done there.
Thank you.
We'll see what we can do. No promises, though, because Yanni, that's obviously tonight cemented a very nice championship lead for you. Ben, who was normally your... Ben Miller, who's normally your main rival in this category, on this server, I should say, he could only manage 9th tonight.
Yeah, that's. I'm pretty happy I could get a bit of an advantage there, because, like I was saying, with Ben getting pole the last few weeks and coming second, I think he was actually closing the gap up to me in the championship standings. So, yeah, like I said, it was good to get the pole and good to get the win to build a bit more of a buffer.
Indeed. Very nicely done, boys. Now, I've got to quickly, because I'm noticing more and more names coming in here as we go on, bring in a good mate of mine from Sydney way, Parry Anastakis. GT racing's a little bit different to the Peugeot, mate, but very nicely done from you to be third in the Pro-Am server tonight. You got to be happy with that?
Hey, thanks, Jack. Yeah, it was good. It was great. Had a good fun. I was trying to keep up with Yanni. He was just a bit quick. Kept up for a while. I think I burnt my tyres out. Got past in the pits by 5 seconds. So, yeah, look, it's good fun. Clean driving, mostly. It was good. And Andrew was keeping an eye on Andrew as well, part of the team. It was good. Yeah, good fun.
Yeah, exactly right, mate. Give me an indication, because obviously I've known you as the race car driver in Super TT and the 300s for a long, long while. How new are you to the sim racing game?
I think I was one of the original iRacing members. 2009, I think I started.
Yep.
But I only did oval racing.
Okay.
Only did road circuits with the introduction of COVID. So I'm fairly new to the road circuit.
I was going to say, yeah, because as someone that's also relatively new compared to obviously yourself to the iRacing circle, it's always nice to see familiar names from the real world stuff pop up, and obviously you've been popping up in the last few weeks in the Pro-Am split here. So the road racing. So if anything, iRacing's been your escape in the gap between the real world pausing and the real world resuming.
I mean, especially when my motor's blown up in the first round of the MRA series this year. So
Oh,
I've got a motor to race even. But look, yeah, obviously it's a great escape. It passes the time. Keeps me out of the pub when it's open. So it's great. And it's a good bunch of people here as well. I've met some great friends now. I've got Michael Angus, Andrew Goldman, Yanni.
Yep.
We meet every night now and do practice together. It's great.
Indeed, and as far as the obviously, because oval racing and road racing, they're two completely different beasts. What are your thoughts on the GT racing thus far, mate, and what's to come as far as the circuits are concerned? We've got Barber, we've got Imola, we've got Suzuka, we've got the Holy Grail.
I like Barber. It's got its own version of the corkscrew, but I've raced there in the TCRs, which is the first road course car that I learnt, and I did quite well there, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, look, it's very different to ovals. I'm still learning road courses. It's totally different to driving a real car. You don't feel it through your bum, through
Yep,
the seat of your car. So I'm still learning the visual aspect of it, and spatial awareness is the biggest thing to get used to when you're passing someone or getting past.
Absolutely. And the other thing I must ask, because obviously we've got so many people getting ready to get back into the real world stuff, and obviously you're working on an engine now, but when you look at Sim World and the real world, the Sim World's been our great friend during the COVID times. Are you one of these drivers that's also going to try and find more time to incorporate sim racing once the real world properly gets back up and running on its legs?
Absolutely. And the first mistake I made since March was probably too many series.
Yep.
I've cut down my series now, pulled out of PCR. I'm just going to focus on the GT series. And you know, Zach, what I love the most is endurance races. So I'm putting a lot of focus into the special events coming up.
Well, mate, we've got a 2-hour in the GT series coming up in 4 weeks' time, so I think everyone's looking forward to that.
I have
Yes,
a question.
Rob?
I have a question. I haven't done much oval racing. It's something I want to do. I enjoy NASCAR, so I want to get out there. If you're pretty heavily into that, how often in iRacing do you end up crossing the finish line backwards, like they do on NASCAR? Is that a common thing?
I haven't done it once.
Oh, okay.
It's just a real world thing, I think, Rob. At this point,
Well,
actually,
they
no,
got the money to replace the cars, don't they, in America?
Exactly. And obviously, as we say, folks, the sim world racing, there are a lot of... One of the great things I love about sim racing over the last, particularly 4 months that I've been involved with the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, and we've said it all the time, there are so many talented drivers out there, and Parry's one of them as well. I mean, the things that Parry's done with that Peugeot of his are just mind-boggling. But when you look at the talent that's in the real world that don't have the finances to go further up, they're getting a whole new avenue through sim racing to promote themselves, and they're getting recognised that way. And that's been one of the great things about all of this. And if you do have the budget to go real world racing, you enjoy that for what it is. If you don't, well, you've got this sim racing avenue, and so many people are embracing sim racing as a result of that. And motorsport is in that incredibly lucky position, Rob, where we have this platform.
Definitely. I imagine you're going to see, I guess, a bit like the college football teams and things, some scouts out, just checking out iRacing to see if they can find some people, that they might want to give a shot. I have a feeling, maybe if not straight away, in the future, you might start seeing that as teams are really looking to get the best drivers, not just the ones who have sort of had the money to show that they're pretty good. And I hope that balances the field for a lot of the guys that don't have the cash. Give them a chance to, maybe a team will give them a chance to get out and have a drive and show them what they can do,
Indeed.
I'd love to get one of the sim races in a Wakefield 300. No, I'm always giving my car out for 300. Always
Exactly.
a co-driver, so you never know.
On
Very
the subject,
impressive talent.
Well, there you go.
100%.
Fantastic.
We will keep everyone posted on that, because once we know when the 300s are resuming, I dare say, obviously Queensland have got a couple coming up with the Queensland Production Car Championship there, of course, October 10 and December 5. But then as far as New South Wales is concerned, there's no 300s until next year. And I already am casting a cloud of doubt over whether the Winton 300 will go ahead in November. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it does go ahead. But with the COVID situation in Victoria, I very much doubt it at this point in time. But Parry, just on the subject of Wakefield Park, I'm actually disappointed that the canoe racing didn't go ahead there yesterday. I thought that everyone would have taken a canoe with them to Goulburn.
I was there. We had our monsoon tyres ready to go. We had a little Peugeot I was supporting.
Yep.
The guys up at Marulan at Pheasant's Nest, they kept running. But our race director, Nick Goring, not mentioning any names, decided not to. But it is a safety thing. There was a flood. There was a pond down the bottom of turn 2. So.
There certainly was. I saw the pictures. If it's not cold, it's wet. That's just Goulburn for you. But fantastic, mate. Great to have you in the chat room. Well done tonight. Good to catch up. And please check in with us again next week, mate. We'll be in touch.
Just enjoy it.
Hey, Zach, before we go,
Yes.
I'd just like to thank Parry for the mentorship he's given me since I joined the team with Michael Angus. Angus, we created Callum Murray Racing Team. We've actually got ourselves a bit of sponsorship from Limitless Car Care Australia and from Penrite. So we're taking this thing as far as we can.
Excellent stuff, Andrew. Thank you very much for passing that info on. And of course, that's one of the great examples of the camaraderie that we often talk about between competitors and drivers in the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Yep, they're competitors on the simulator when they're in the full swing of things, racing and giving you all the entertainment at home on Do It Drift Esports, but they're mates off the circuit as well. And like Michael Hammond, Parry Anastasios Experience Campaign, and happy to help where he can. Good on you, boys. Thank you very much. Your Pro-Am top 5 there, folks. Of course, Andrew in 5th. Yanni getting the win and Parry there in position number 3, boys. Good luck next week.
Now, Zach,
Thanks, guys.
on the
Cheers.
replay back at the pro field, I did have the replay up of Jeff. It looked like going off after the Firestone Bridge. But we've also got him on the replay now, just absolutely charging through the field, which I think we missed a bit earlier.
And, of course, that second charge through was only brought to a premature end by his own mistake up near the corkscrew there. Let's have a chat to our race winner, however, because he's already got the microphone turned on, ready to jump in and get stuck into it. Dennis Gaderick, 3 wins in this series, mate. They've all been in the United States of America. You got the 2 rivals. You've now got the job done at Laguna Seca. It doesn't give you the lead of the championship yet, but a big vote of confidence going into the last 4 rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a good race, to be honest with you. But the Ferrari had a bit of a mechanical advantage, and because of that, I wanted to take as much advantage of it as I could. So obviously, pole position, the win, and the pole, which obviously puts a lot of pressure on yourself when you know that you've got the car to do it. But yeah, no, it was pretty solid, to be absolutely fair with you.
44 minutes 36 seconds. 12-second winning margin. There was no pressure in those closing stages. The only threat of danger was when you were lapping Jeff Connell there, because it didn't look like he wanted to take that lying down, and then he comes spearing across in front of you going into the corkscrew. Was your heart in your mouth at that point?
Oh, actually, to be fair, I saw him coming from a while back. Because, to be fair, I was watching in my rearview mirror because I think that would have been sort of the race. If he didn't make that mistake in the corkscrew, I think it was on the first lap, we would have really had a solid race. So when I saw him, I was like, maybe we can try and emulate something as how the race could have been.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was kind of happy, to sort of race him essentially. But yeah, obviously when I saw him flying, and I was just like, please don't hit me, I'm on 0x, don't do it.
And of course, the 0x is a key point as far as the championship is concerned, with bonus points and everything else. And I'll get Nick and Paul to crunch the numbers there for us on who got 0 incident points before the end of the broadcast. Adam Lavis is currently crunching championship standings for us to have a look at before we sign off here as well. The Ferrari just looked solid tonight, mate. So you built a gap early, you maintained it, you continued to extend it after the pit stop. It just was, and this is one of the great intriguing points of the series with the pick and stick rule. The Ferrari has really been the car of choice for 3 of the circuits thus far, and there's no reason why we can't add to that when we've got a circuit like Imola and Barber coming up as well.
Yeah, I was about to say Barber. I think it's much better on sort of the, I suppose the corners, tracks that are a little bit tight, a few sharp corners, because the Ferrari is relatively nimble, and at the same time you can drive it on the rear tires, so you can throw it around a little bit, and it is relatively controllable. But yeah, I'm not so much looking forward to Monza, to be honest with you, because yeah, the Ferrari just doesn't have straight line speed compared to the other vehicles. Oh yeah, sorry, Imola. In that case, happy days.
Yeah, not Monza, Imola. Yeah.
Oh, in that case, that's going to be a good one.
Still Italy, you had the right country, but yeah, no, we're just a little bit
exactly.
across town.
Yeah,
So
to be fair, I'm American now, so yeah, it's kind of the same thing.
Well, yeah, this is right. And that's the interesting point. I mean, the 2 European rounds didn't go your way, and we had a Canadian round that didn't go your way, but you've dominated the 3 American rounds of the championship thus far. So we've only got one of them left, and then we've got a European, an Asian, and an Australian round to come. How do you think the Ferrari might handle those rounds, Suzuka and also Bathurst, mate? Because they're the 2 that we haven't tackled yet.
Yeah, to be fair, at Barber and Imola, I think it will be pretty solid. Maybe at Imola, the BMW. Oh, actually, both tracks the BMW should be pretty strong in. I'll probably be looking out for Amrit quite a bit, to be honest with you, in those races. Suzuka, that's going to be a tough one, because I think all the cars have certain advantages in certain parts of that track, but obviously I haven't raced there since the new update, so that'll be a really interesting one. I don't know how that would go personally, but yeah, Bathurst is the big one, isn't it? That's going to be double points, and definitely where everything gets decided. So yeah, regardless of how the car goes and that, just going to have to do the best.
and somewhere near triple the length as well because it's 2 hours. So that'll be a little bit more pressure for everybody, and the likelihood of safety cars is there as well. Now, 2 questions to finish off. A, were you surprised by the absence of the safety car tonight? Because, again, it was predicted by all of us in pre-race commentary, but then nothing eventuated, which is a tip of the hat to the consistency and the ability of the drivers and the driving standards in this series. But the second point is, did you get a little bit lonely having that bigger lead?
No, absolutely not. Actually, to be fair with you, there's probably a couple of points I'd make on that, to be fair.
Yeah.
The safety car, that was a little bit surprising, but it was also maybe the quality of the field, because I was 12 laps in, I didn't see any car in front of me that, potential back runner or something like that. I was kind of just, essentially driving by myself until the last stages. So I think the consistency of the entire field was pretty damn solid, because when I was doing the VRS ones, you catch up to people after lap 8, essentially. So the field was pretty damn good tonight.
Indeed, and you've closed the championship points gap as well, mate. I'm just getting an update here from Adam Lavis. My screen says 264 for Brenton, 251 for yourself. So it's now 13 points with 4 rounds to play. So it's well and truly alive. And as I said, that result really hurt Jeff Connell there in the greater scheme of things. He's been left behind there on 220, but Emirates jumped up into 3rd spot on 229, and Gary Cousins now 5th on 192. Richard Hunter with that retirement tonight, having dropped out with internet problems. That was a big talking point tonight too. He sits there in 7th now, so he's dropped down out of the top 5. So now there's 2 Mercs, 2 Bimmers, and a Ferrari in the top 5. So you're flying the flag for the Tifosi mates, and very nicely so. Did you happen to notice any chit-chat about the network problems tonight? Because there seemed to be a prevalent issue.
Honestly, the chat was the quietest I've ever seen it. I don't think anybody said a thing. It was actually kind of refreshing, really, to be fair. So, because I was having kind of troubles focusing through the race, essentially, because obviously I just don't want to get an off track, and the pressure was kind of there. So, but no, it was actually pretty good. But actually, I just wanted to say the job that sort of Hobbo and Amrit did, that was very, very good. That was, for the cars for this track, the Merc and the BMW sort of both being the worst, they're just absolutely blitzing the field. I feel like if they had my car, they would be absolutely, smashing me. So, they're doing a great job.
Indeed they are, mate. Well done tonight. Paul Nichols, I just want to come to you before we let Dennis go. The pressure, you can just sense that the drivers have put a little bit more pressure on themselves this series when you hear Dennis so intensely talking about the 0 incident points fact, and the fact that bonus points go with that. There's a whole little extra element of intrigue in this series because the drivers have got that extra pressure on themselves, knowing that there is something on the line at the end if they can have a clean race.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking at the results at the moment. So incident points in the top split. So Dennis had 0.
Yep.
Brenton had 1. Amrit had 0. Maverick had 1, and then Ross Ponting had 0, and then Gary Cousins 0. So you look at you think about off tracks and incident points. If you have an off track, you're slowing the car down. So the guys that have really clean races are the fastest, which is really interesting. So, and also in split 2, which I was in, and you didn't mention me, but I came 4th.
I did actually. Thank you. You weren't in the chat room when I mentioned it. Actually, we'll come back to you.
So Yanni 0, Giannis Koch 1, Ariana Starkus 2, myself 3. Andrew Goldman 5, Rick Vincent 5. So, I mean, that's a tough track for off track. It's like Spa. So, really good effort for the guys that run up the front there, and they have the like if you have 45-minute race, if you have less than 10 incident points, you're doing well.
Here's this incident for Jeff Connell again, folks, that we can talk you through now. And he came so close to getting into the side of Dennis there. You can hit play on it now, Rob. On board with Dennis. Just watch Jeff fly across here on the inside. Oh boy, had he been a little bit further back and lost it, Dennis would have got absolutely cleaned up there, but because he was close enough to Dennis that when he locked it up, he was able to go across whilst Dennis was under brakes.
Oh, so Dennis hit the
the aerial
outside.
shot. Yeah.
Hit the dirt on the outside and lost control. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so
I think
that
it was good of him because, even though he lost it, he still kept it on the left side essentially. So that was pretty lucky for me.
Yeah.
I think he did a good job in sort of controlling the uncontrollable, let's say. But yeah, it was actually a funny thing in my mirror because it was a car going sideways that caught my attention, and then I saw everything happening behind me. I was like, that car shouldn't be doing that in that part.
No.
Dennis, we've just been watching on the replay. You following Jeff for quite a bit as he was absolutely charging through the field, car after car after car. What was that like when you were coming up behind him?
Well, the thing is because obviously, he qualified second. I know the man's got pace. I didn't really want to get into those battles because, he was really sending it down, and everybody who he passed was happy enough to just let me pass. So I didn't really want to take too many risks. I was more than happy to sort of just see where both of our paces were at. To see sort of how the race would have gone if sort of the accident didn't happen essentially for him. But I reckon it would have been pretty close. He was definitely there or thereabouts with the Ferrari, which is really surprising because this is not a BMW track.
From the
And
replay,
well done to you.
Sorry, so just
Sorry,
one last
Rob,
thing.
yeah.
From the replay, it almost looked like he was at a speed above everyone else, just passing them. Like his car was just going around in ways it shouldn't have. It was pretty interesting to watch.
His car's very loose. I don't know if the cameras picked it up, but driving behind him, his car was sliding. But it was kind of like a very controllable slide. He was doing a really good job. And to be fair, I don't know if maybe the car was a little bit too loose sometimes. But he had a very loose but very fast car. And to be fair, while I was behind him, he was controlling it really well, which is probably where the speed came from.
Just to tackle what Rob said there, I wasn't in the slightest bit surprised to see Jeff charging through because when he's on the fight back, he's like a man on a mission. It's followed him all the way through his karting career into his sim racing career. Don't worry about that. And the other thing too, for those of you that just saw the incident, we were riding on board with Jeff when he lost it there going into the corkscrew. So you saw the other three angles of the incident from the sky, from Dennis, and obviously from the curb, from the track cam as well. So all angles covered of what was the defining moment of Jeff Connell's night. He ended up coming home down there, one lap down in position number 15. Excuse me. So Dennis, half the margin has been slashed tonight. That's been a nice bit of a gain and a win for you, mate, because with your third win of the season, you've tightened the margin between yourself and Brenton from 26 to 13. But I would fear as though Bathurst might be his strong point of the season. He'll be looking to come home with a wet sail on a track that he dominated at last time, and in a race that's worth double points.
Yeah, correct. Obviously, we saw in the last Enduro, obviously, I think history sort of is a good predictor of the future. So, I think he'll be absolutely solid. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm going to put my laps into it and I'll see how quick I am and hopefully consistency gets me there. But I think it just shows what kind of driver he is, to be absolutely fair with you. I've had 3 wins and this is the second perfect weekend, which is, the pole win and 0 incidents, and I'm still 13 points behind him. So the man's driving consistently. There's no doubt about that, which makes the championship pretty fun, to be absolutely fair with you.
And when we look back, really, your Achilles heel has been those first 2 rounds where you were 11th at Spa and 17th in Canada at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, Montreal. So when you reflect at the end of the season, had you been able to convert them into podiums the way Brenton has, second, first, second, third, second this season, no one's been as consistent as that. It could be those first 2 rounds that come back to bite you.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, don't get me wrong, that was some of my bad luck, essentially. Yeah. I'm still waiting for him to have his, but it's just not coming. It's just it's just one of those things. But, to be absolutely fair with you, it is kind of, those first 2 rounds were pretty bad, obviously. But after the second round, I was like, all right, Dennis, we're going to put the foot down. We're going to see how we go. And, here we are. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm still going to try and, take this into... I'll try and take this as a bit of motivation for the next, sort of races and put some practice in. And obviously there's can only do so much, and you can do only what you can do, but practice definitely helps. That's for sure.
Indeed it does, mate. Well done tonight. So hang there, because if we get time at the end of the broadcast, we may come back to you. But third win of the season. In fact, there is one question that I will ask you, but I'll save it until the back end once we've heard from everybody else. So stick around there for us. Let's go to Nick Windsor at this point in time. Nick, you were having a fascinating battle with Trent Lavis there that we saw live during the broadcast. Matt was for 10th at the time, but you've dropped down the order and come home in 22nd position. What went wrong in the last few laps, mate?
Yeah, I ran out of fuel, unfortunately.
That'll do it. That'll do it every day of the week. And was that an underestimate on your part?
Yeah, it was. It was actually, I was doing the math. I didn't really do any practice for fuel usage. So I was doing a bit of math while I was out in front of Adam. And he probably caught me for a few laps there while I was trying to do two things at once, but it didn't work too well. And yeah, I went short by about 1.5 litres.
So just to elaborate on what that means for the order, folks, of course, up until that point, Nick was running there in position 11. So Adam Lavis inherits 11th, Daniel Aish, Chris Stark, Paul Wood and Jeff Connell made up the top 15, Curtis Porter, Simon Ferris, then David Johnson and Nick, then Laser Dave Farrelly made up the top 20, with Warwick Sharp in there in 21st and Nick in 27th. Up until that oversight of the fuel read, mate, the night had been going pretty good for you.
Yeah, first stint, I was out in front of Adam and just held steady, and like I said, it was I was doing a bit of math on the fly and lost a bit of pace during the first stint. But after that, after I pitted, I came out after actually just ahead of Trent, and we had a great battle there for quite a few laps, sort of trading places. And then I looked down with about 3 laps to go, and my estimate said I had 3.2 laps worth of fuel remaining. So I thought, oh, this is great. I'll just keep powering on.
Yep.
And then it coughed. So yeah, it actually caught me by surprise, that one, but. It was a good race up until then.
Indeed. Right. I've got something that I've got to give a plug at the end of the broadcast, but I'll get Nico to help me with that in just a moment. In the meantime, let's talk about the next round of the championship with you, Nick. You'll be looking to seek redemption, I guess, for the last couple of couple of laps from tonight when we get to Barber Motorsports Park.
Yeah, I don't know that circuit at all, so I'm going to have to spend a bit of time learning it over the next week and get my fuel strategy right this time. So
for sure,
I've heard though that everybody seems to rave about it being a good track, so I'm looking forward to seeing what it's like.
Well, it's a good open wheeler track. I'm looking forward to seeing how it converts as a tin-top circuit. It'll be fantastic. Nick, thank you, mate. Well done.
Thanks, mate.
Not the result he probably would have liked tonight, but that happens sometimes with the fuel reads. That's all part of the game of motor racing. Speaking of results that he may or may not be happy about, let's talk about Paul Wood right now. He's joining us in the chat room. The last of the drivers that we need to get to for the moment, and then we'll get back to Dennis. As we slowly wrap things up here, shortened post-race show, folks, because we've got not as many drivers dropping in as we normally would. Chris Whitaker said he'd probably come and join us tonight, but unfortunately his throat isn't quite ready for the game. He's had a sore throat over the course of the weekend. Looks like he's gone out on the town with Robert Downey Jr. So let's go to Paul Wood, mate. So Nick mentioned during the broadcast that this was a circuit that you historically don't really like. You weren't expecting great things here tonight. Results wise, it would seem as though 14th is a bit of a hit-miss mark for you. What were your thoughts on the race that was?
Yeah, this one will go down in the books as a race to forget, I think. It's this track and I rarely see eye to eye, but considering my start and basically dropping back to last and fighting back through, it wasn't too bad, but again, the Merc terrible car on this track. Did not enjoy it one bit.
It's interesting because, I mean, a couple of weeks ago, the Merc being a dog of a car, as some people put it, was the talking point after the Balance of Performance update. Is that something that you would attribute to this car and this circuit, or is it just an ongoing problem?
Definitely, I think since the Balance of Performance, it just doesn't want to turn anymore. And I'm still trying to play with setup to try and get that a little bit more there, but just cannot seem to find enough to get a little bit more turn, and therefore it just doesn't want to drive out of corners, and you lose a lot of time doing that.
Indeed, you do. As you say, the race didn't start all that great. You were turned around the wrong way, but a good fight back from there. Given where you were, is 14th something that sits okay with you?
Could have been better. Well, the beginning of that was a
tapped the back of Gerard Daly and spun him in turn one. And
That's right, yes.
yes, I pulled over to redress with that one, but he didn't keep going, so I started from there. But was on a bit of a charge back and not going too bad until I looped it into the corkscrew, and that was sort of a bit of the last straw for me at that point. I was a bit hot under the collar, and it didn't help me to drive very well after that, and I think it showed in the results that I just struggled. And so considering 14th, I suppose, is okay.
Fair enough. The incident that you mentioned there with Jared, we saw it. We didn't see who caused it or what went down because all we saw was Jared turning around. Was it a case of only so many cars into one will go? What happened?
Yeah, bit of a misjudgment by me on a closing gap. It's at first I thought he was going to be on the outside because there was that many cars, and as we got there, I saw him starting to come across, and I saw the door and closing. I thought, this is going to disappear, this gap, and tried to get on the brakes, but it was too late. And I pushed off the apex and just caught the rear end of his car. It was only a light tap, but it was enough to send him around. And rest is history.
Indeed, it is, mate. Onwards and upwards for next week, Barber Motorsports Park.
Hoping for a better result, but again, it's a track that. Yeah, we'll see if the Merc is going to go right there. Again, I need to get more turns, similar sort of corners to this track. You've got to keep speed up through the corners. So, we'll wait and see. Not a track I've done a lot of racing at. So, as for my ability there, I couldn't really comment. But, hopefully the Merc and I see eye to eye next week and a bit better result.
Indeed, mate. Thank you for coming in to have a chat to us. Obviously not the greatest night for you results-wise, but still a nice little haul of championship points to take forward. 4 rounds to go. Let's see what you can do.
Yes, we'll keep plodding on and, see what we get.
Indeed. Thanks, Paul. Nicely done. And thanks to all the drivers that have jumped in to have a chat tonight. Dennis Gaderick is still in the house. So let's go back to you, Dennis, because I'm about to bring Paul in and wrap things up. Obviously, 0 incident points, pole position, race win. We believe you'll be driver of the night. I can't see anyone taking that away from you. But what I want to focus on is the next season. Obviously, we're still at least 5-6 weeks away from that because this season, the second season of the year, isn't over yet. We've still got another 4 weeks of that. Given what you've seen thus far from the Mercs and the BMWs, and then not knowing what the calendar is going to be, there's obviously a few different circumstances here that could change your mind. But when we go to the next season, are you happy with the Ferrari, or are you looking at the Merc or the BMW as a potential option, given that, yes, you've won 3 rounds, but on the circuits where you haven't been so competitive, and I'm thinking obviously the first 2 rounds, the Mercs and the BMWs have smoked the Ferrari. It's been a 50-50 championship thus far.
Look, to be honest with you about car choice for next year, I can say maybe not. That's about it. To be honest with you, if I was to choose a car now, I would pick the Ford GT or the Audi. It would be one of the two. If I had the choice today to go back in time and obviously pick a car for the season. But yeah, it's because I'll do the same thing that I did for this season, which is you take all the cars out. There was a few tracks, obviously, because you guys released the calendar a little bit prior. I didn't test them all, obviously, because will take you a year, essentially, to test all the cars there. But I found 3. So, one was Spa. That was a big one. One was Bathurst. And then the other one... I can't remember what the other one was. I think it might have been Imola. I can't remember. I tested 3 cars on that. Actually, sorry, I tested all the cars on those 3 tracks, and then I found the one that had the most consistency through all 3. Now, I suppose anybody who does statistics can tell you that there is some error in doing that because maybe you didn't set a good lap in one car and stuff like that. But obviously that's all about finding yourself as well, what car suits you and stuff like that as well. So yeah, it's kind of, I'll just do the exact same thing as I did last season, and it seems like it's working pretty well.
It's working pretty well for you at the moment. Obviously being mindful that the Ferrari's not the strongest car in a couple of the circuits that you mentioned there is in the final 4 rounds that we got coming up. It was more reason for the question question than obviously what we've seen thus far, because it's been right there every other week, and it's been really good to watch. Paul Nichols, let's bring you in at this point in time. The incident that Paul Wood was talking about between himself and Jared Daly, it's amazing how the smallest of touches can lead to incidents like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Particularly if it's coming into a corner, off camber corner, you touch the back of a car, it's gonna spin the lead car around. So it happens. We're aware of that. I mean, I'm just shout out to. I'm looking at all the incident points, and all the top maybe 10 drivers. They were under 10 incident points for each of the splits. So really good effort for those guys.
Indeed it was. In fact, we'll have a look at the results of the AM split in just a moment as well, and we've already brought you up to date with Pro-Am. If you were to nominate a driver of the night, mate, in the broadcast server, I reckon you've got to give it to Dennis, because pole, win, no incident points, and a 12-second buffer at the end.
Yeah, pretty hard to go past that. Plus fastest lap as well, 1:21.990.
Yes.
So, I mean, if you add all that up, I think that's a win.
I think so. And Nick's not in the room at the moment to outvote us on that. So
correct.
That's all good.
Unanimous.
Exactly. Now let's talk about your night, because we mentioned it there while you were out the room sourcing other material and drivers to come and have a chat to us. Yanni getting the win in the Pro-Am split from Johannes, Parry, yourself, and Andrew Goldman. A very good night at the office for you.
Absolutely. And I was just posted up on our Facebook page, one of the best high-intensity races I've had in a long time. Andrew Goldman, Rick Vincent, and myself, we were at it for 32 laps. And awesome racing. So no contact for 32 laps between all three of us. I had a bit of a pit strategy. I was kind of sticking behind them for probably 3/4 of the race and just trying to save fuel. Came out in front of both of them, and they were pressuring me for 5 laps at the end of the race. It was a cracking race. Across
the 3 servers, which was amazing, not one safety car.
Yeah, and we talked about it at the start of the race in Pro-Am, just talking about, take it easy the first 2 laps. This is a hard track. And I think everyone respects that at the moment. Like, you don't want safety cars. I mean, you want to race hard, race clean. And, it was a really good hats off to all the drivers tonight. Fantastic job.
Indeed. Let's start to wrap this thing up, because for some reason Nick and Jackson are sitting in another coaching room at the moment, or another chat room, so we'll get back to them on Wednesday night.
Doing Motec probably.
Most likely, yes. It's become the latest talking point in the world of iRacing.
Yeah.
But no, well done to those guys tonight. Nick, of course, I think Nick was happy in the end, despite the fact that he said he was dropping about 3 seconds a lap to the Ferrari. The fact that the Ford got home, only 1 lap down, but also 5 positions further up from where he started. He went from 24th to 19th. I think he takes that as a pass mark.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, great job.
It interested me to hear Dennis say that he thought about the Ford or the Audi. I'd be interested to see the comparison between Dennis and Nick if we were to put them in the same car.
Yeah, I'm not a cynic, but I do wonder about iRacing BOP updates.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, do they want us to own all the GT3 cars? I do, but I'm not too concerned about that. But new drivers come in and go, oh look, the BMW is quick, so I'll buy that. And then 4 weeks later the AMG is quick, and then 4 weeks later it's the Audi is quick. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, indeed, it is the case. So, just recapping the results in the AM split for you folks, and then I'll have a look at the championship points. John Merritt from Luke Turner, from Matt Dunphy, Peter Hunter and Michael Martin, the top 5 there in the AM split. Brock Kelly was 6th. So a nice performance there from John Merritt. Got the job done and won by 14 seconds. So that's the other big talking point. Big winning margins from first to second tonight. At least 12 seconds, maximum 14 seconds. So if you got the lead, you got clear air, which is a key advantage around here.
Yeah.
You sailed off into the sunset.
If you get caught in battles around Laguna Seca, it really does slow you down. I think in certain battles during the night tonight, I was probably losing 2 to 3 seconds a lap, just battling, just trying to hold position and braking at certain points and turning it a bit early sometimes. So really good effort there. Matt Dunphy, 0 incident points, well done, and John Merritt 7 and Luke Turner 4. So good job, top 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic racing there, as per usual. And the big talking point, the whole night went through safety car free, which is astonishing. Barber Motorsports Park, the next stop. We'll get your thoughts on that in a moment, Paul. But just to focus on the outright fight here, the fact that we've got 3 servers, We went racing on the Laguna Seca course. We got through the corkscrew without any incidents. That's twice we've been wrong this season. Twice we've sat here on a Monday night saying, "Oh,
Yeah.
when's the first course going to fly?"
We
And it
don't make
hasn't
many
happened.
mistakes, Zach, do we? Like,
No, we don't. But this time we were. And look.
And Nick
look,
was
let's-
talking about
look,
turn 2.
turn 3. He
Turn
said
3.
It'll be either turn 3 or
3
lap
minutes.
3. Yeah, so it was one or the other, and it was neither in the end. But see, this is the thing: the Charlotte Roval threw up the same problem for us, if you can call it that. We had three different numbers circled in our diary here, saying this is when the caution's going to fly. It didn't. It just goes to show that even though the crashes have been a talking point in the GT series, particularly at somewhere like Spa, when you bring it back to the wider, more open circuits like Laguna Seca, even though they're a recipe for disaster, I think one of the talking points is the fact that we've split the field up, so there's not as many cars on the circuit. You've got drivers of similar driving levels. They're all going through nicely.
And also, I think the bonus points for 0 incidents. I mean, you think about that from a championship point of view, and that's what I was trying to do tonight. I think I actually got two. I actually had one, I think, during the race, and then got 2 when I was doing a burnout at the end of the race. That's all good. I knew I had 1, so I wouldn't get the bonus point. But, you think about that from a driver's perspective. If you can finish in the top 5, top 6, top 10 even each week and get 5 bonus points for 0 incident points, you're going to be up there at the end of the season.
Indeed you are. I'll have a look through the chat. There is another thing that's burning in my mind, but I can't think of it exactly what it is at the moment. So let me have a look through the championship standings before we go on, and we start to wrap things up here. Brenton Hobson 264 leads Dennis Gaderick 251, Emmerich Gandola 229, Jeff Connell 220, and Gary Cousins 192, Ross Ponting 179, Paul Wood 167, so too Richard Hunter. The DNF really hurt him tonight. Michael Schreier 165, and Maverick Benson 159, Trent Lavis 157, Adam Lavis 152. They're the top 12 for you in the pro split. In Pro-Am, Yanni's got the lead 237, pretty good lead too, 36 points to Ben Miller, who didn't have his best result tonight. Andrew Goldman 184, Paul Nichols 167, nicely done. 165 for Daniel Birchnell, 164 for Josh Forer. Parry's in there on 163.5, 160 for Andrew Hayes, and 159 for Curtis Williams, with Luke Gathercole making up the top 10 on 157. Now, can someone explain to me how everyone in the top 10 has got a rounded number, but Parry's got half a point? Does anyone know what that?
Moving up, moving down. So there's a formula that Adam uses to, if you move up or move down in splits. I think when you move down, you take twice. Actually, no, you take.
Actually, bring him into
half your points.
He's sitting in the broadcast green room, so bring him in. He might be able to explain it to us, Paul.
We'll do it.
Just stand by, folks. We're working on the fly here. This is what live broadcasting is like.
Yeah, there you go. He's in the room.
Adam Lavis, welcome to you. Firstly, not a bad result for you tonight, sitting there in 11th, first car a lap down, helped by the fact that Nick Windsor ran out of fuel. Secondly, we're trying to work out the points matrix here, the mantra, because in the top 10 of the GT3 Pro-Am split, only Parry Anastakis is registering with half a point to his name, whereas everyone else has got a rounded number. Can you explain to us and the people at home what the points matrix does to determine all of that?
He might be at work, so he might be listening, but he can't probably talk. I think from memory. So if you go down a split, you take 70. You take 1.5 of your point. If you go up a split,
hang on, here he is. Adam.
Sorry, my sound effect wasn't working, so I was.
There we go. Yeah.
So the boys who when they moved up, so anyone who's got the little up arrow in their results, all right? So they're the ones that have moved up class.
Okay.
They came with half the points from the previous split.
Okay, that'll do.
Right?
Yep, half a point.
And then Nico is the only one who's moved down.
Yep.
But the formula for him is he took, like, because he was in a higher split,
yep,
he took 150% of the points he made in split 1. He took
okay.
in the split 2. So he's because
so moving up, you go with half the points. Coming down, you take
you lose 50% of your points, basically.
Yeah.
50% either way. You either lose 50% or take 50% with you.
Yep. All right, mate. Thank you for that. Just quickly summarise your night for us in terms of the racing portion of it.
I was having, as Nick was saying earlier, me and him were having a sort of a good little race there. He was once we got past David, he was sort of a bit of, he was doing having his own good race, but he was just a little bit off the pace of me and Nick. So he was a bit of a cork on a bottle at the start. He went wide and we got past him. And then we were sort of going pretty well together. And then Nick did start to pull a gap. And then he came back to me, as he said, because he must have been playing with his fuel numbers. And then I sort of got up to him, and then I did the same thing. I realized I had to set my pit stop up, so I was playing with my buttons, and I lost time on him trying to set my pit stop up. So we both did the same thing, just in different laps.
It's not the best track to actually try and look at things while you're trying to drive, is it?
That's
pretty intense,
pretty
isn't
short.
it?
It certainly is.
Not as bad as Friday. At Sonoma and NASCAR, that was horrendous trying to set my pit stop up because I completely forgot to do anything at the start. So I had to do all my fuel and all my tires. I'm like, oh no.
Oh no. Quickly, let me run through the AM split here, boys. We've just gone past 10 o'clock, so we're not far off wrapping up for you, folks. Rock Kelly 157 leads. Matt Dunphy 156. How tight do you want it in the GT3 AM split here right now? 151 for Michael Martin, so just 6 points separating the top three. In fact, 15 points separating the top five with Doi-san on 143 and David Riddell on 142. Stephen Robertson 134. Brendan Whitaker 131, but he's moved up a split, of course. Jamie Mishkonig on 125. Thomas Martin 120. And Johannes Koch was sitting there on 119, but of course he's moved up a split as well. Reese Belitho on 107 and Glenn Cedar Riddell on 101.5 make up the top 10 of those that are still in the split. So very interesting stuff there. Paul? Yes, Adam?
The reason Cito's got a half point is because he hasn't moved any splits, but the last few rounds he's been using the wrong car, so he's been getting half points.
Has he rectified that or not?
No, even tonight he's been using the Beamer instead. I think it's Beamer instead of the Merc. I think he's using. Yeah,
correct. Yeah, I think he changed last week, didn't he?
Yeah, no, about 3 weeks. So it's been 3 weeks. So in Indy, Silverstone, and tonight he's been racing the Beamer, but the first 3 rounds he was racing the Merc.
And the tolerance level, as you can see there for you folks, is 50%. That's the tax that gets charged on it. So there is no tolerance on it, but you do get penalised 50% if you do that, run the wrong car after it is, of course, a pick and stick rule. Nico, let's go to you, because the thing that I finally remembered to ask you about, networking, because we had 3 drivers, no less, drop out tonight with internet issues halfway through. That's normally what we consider a Glenn Postlethwaite issue, but at the moment, everyone's feeling the pinch.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you talk about, unfortunately, the lockdown in Melbourne, so the internet demand is going to be through the roof. Obviously, people are at home watching Netflix or hopefully iRacing. Yeah, so there's a high demand, obviously. So, I mean, that's going to happen. We all get, it's like, I mean, in real life, obviously, you get a hardware failure, it's going to happen. So, and, you know, that's life. Get on with it. Move on. Next race.
Exactly right. Speaking of which, plenty to look ahead and look forward to as we look ahead for you on Do a Drift Esports as far as motorsport is concerned. But before we get to the broadcast stuff, let's talk club stuff firstly, Paul, because everyone's preparing for the endurances on a Saturday night. But Tuesday night is ladies' night, essentially, in the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, because we're all inclusive here, ladies and gentlemen. Don't think that we're biased whatsoever. The girls are getting ready for some hits and giggles and more of the same from what we saw last week, which we'll bring you the highlights of later in the week here on, I think it's either Wednesday or Friday night. We'll try and get those highlights in for you from the Lime Rock Park hit out. They're now getting ready to go around again.
I've got the video to go now, Zach.
Oh, okay, yeah. Load it up while we talk about it, yeah.
Yeah, why not? Play it while we talk.
So, yeah, look, we as a club, we're an inclusive club, and we always want to be inclusive. You know, people from all sorts of levels, different backgrounds. You know, the club's all about being inclusive, and that's one of the fantastic things. And Jared Daly actually came up with the idea, why don't we have a partners race? It's like, yeah, that's a great idea. So we have it Tuesday night where we don't do racing, official racing, or do club racing. And we threw up last Tuesday, the 4th of August, from memory. Yep. So wives, partners, sisters, daughters, you know, grandma, aunties, whatever, jump in, have a race. And it was one of the best nights I think we've had from a club point of view, where we get our partners involved, and they got an appreciation of what we do. You know, guys sit down and do the sim racing. I'm sure the girls are going, "What this is just a game." When they actually get involved in it, it was amazing. They loved it. They laugh their heads off. And the highlights reel that's being played at the moment is one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time. My wife is crying watching it. So, that's a really good thing for the club. Get involved. We want our partners to be involved in it and appreciate what we do and why we love it, why we love sim racing.
Crashes before the start of the race, you would have just seen there as well, folks.
Yeah, my wife.
This is why we had zero incident points, no damage, and all that sort of stuff attached to the girls here, because it would have been catastrophically bad had it not been. One of the porters getting cleaned up. Watch it as we go out here tonight, folks. Even if we wrap up talking before this finishes playing out, this will play out and then Rob's broadcast will end. But a hit and giggle night, and that's the thing. Like, as you say, their mentality would be, come on, you're a grown man, what are you going and playing a game for? But now they have a greater appreciation for it, don't they?
Absolutely. And my wife was like, I said, just come down for 15 minutes, do some practice, just see what you like. An hour and a half later, she won the race.
Yep.
And was just like, oh, I love it, I want to do it again.
Well, maybe you'll have to get another sim set up and so that you can have team races. Yeah.
There's been plenty of comments on Facebook saying, my wife's taken over my sim, I can't get any seat time.
Exactly. Looking ahead, so are they running on the same circuit tomorrow night? What's the go?
Yeah, same car, same circuit, and we'll just keep it the same circuit, same car, and make it easy. And look, I've got a friend, Holly, my wife's away this weekend, but not this weekend, tomorrow night she's got a conference to go to, but I've got a friend of a friend, she's going to come over, she loves racing, she loves cars, she's been in the car industry for 20 odd years, so she's going to come over and give it a crack.
Excellent. Keep an eye out, because I'm sure Adam Lavis will weave his magic to bring you highlights of that later in the week for you here on Do a Drift Esports, and that will hopefully be the go-between on Friday night between our production cars and our stock cars. Yes, Adam?
If I have time. The video editing isn't a quick process.
No, it's not. It's a time-consuming sort of matter. So it's if he's not time-dependent this week, you'll see something on Friday night. Driver of the night, Nick, since you're back in the chat room now, Jackson Rayhana back in here with us as well as we wrap things up. We've gone for Dennis Gaderick, so you're at the moment, you're 2-0 outvoted if you want to go anyone else.
It's pretty hard to pass Dennis, especially with within points.
Yeah, fastest lap.
31 laps.
Won the race. Yeah.
Won the race.
Fastest lap.
I was trying so hard to get away from him. He just kept coming. It was like, forget it. Just go past, mate.
Exactly. Where was it? 12th position. Daniel Aish was the biggest mover in the field, believe it or not, 26th up to 12th. So fine effort from Daniel, but again, only the top 10 home on the lead lap there. And well done, as I said, to Trent Lavis and his return to the series, getting into last place in the top 10, despite having a bit of a wild ride into the pit lane. Looking ahead for you, as far as the Gentleman Sim Racing Club and Do a Drift Esports Motorsport is concerned, plenty to look forward to here, folks. No shortage of great motorsport over the next 7 days. Starting Wednesday night, somewhere between 7 and 7:30, we'll be on here. All the action from the Detroit Grand Prix circuit, the Grand Prix of Belle Isle, of course. Michigan is the venue. Looking forward to that first street circuit experience for the Gentleman Sim Racing Club in this Do a Drift Esports partnership tenure. And we are looking forward to going street racing in Detroit, Michigan on Wednesday night. That'll be the up-and-comers in the Pro Mazdas, so a bit of open-wheel action for you for the first time since May. And also on the back end of that, the GT4 and TCR race from the same venue. So looking forward to that. IndyCar didn't get to go racing there this year, but we will go racing in Detroit. So that will be, of course, on Wednesday night. Friday night, stock cars, another traditional road racing venue for the stock cars when we head to Watkins Glen International. And we've got the production cars first up in the Mustangs, which you've seen here plenty of times before. That'll be from 6:30. From 8 o'clock, all attention, all eyes, all focus turns to the stock cars. Now, I believe the production cars are going to use the extended long circuit layout that IndyCar used for Watkins Glen, and the stock cars are going to use the shorter, more traditional cup layout there. So looking forward to that. Next Monday night, an IndyCar circuit's going to play host to some GT racing. It's the Barber Motorsports Park venue playing in Birmingham, Alabama, playing host to round 7 of the GT series, round 7 of 10 in this second season. So looking forward to all of that and more. Final thoughts tonight, gentlemen. It's been a wild ride. Laguna threw up some hairy moments, but no huge incidents that we may have been anticipating otherwise, which is again testament to the driving standards of the club that's continuing to improve with each passing week. And Dennis Gaderick was just too good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we spoke about that earlier, Zach. I think the driving standards have really improved, and I think that bonus point for 0 incidents is really, the drivers are thinking about that. Particularly if you're in the top 10, you think about you can jump 5 points or 5 positions by finishing 10th. You can actually finish, equal 5th in the race.
And Nick,
So
I don't know if
that's a
you
really
heard much of
important
the
thing.
chat we had with Dennis, but it seemed as though that was something that was constantly, I mean, as if you haven't got enough on your mind to think about it at the beginning of a race for 45 minutes when you're going around to Laguna Seca with 30 other lunatics. But the fact that he put pressure on himself to make sure that he come home with 0 incident points means that it's only 5 points, but it is 5 points in the greater scheme of things, and it's helped him shorten the margin in the championship.
Well, he's got 10 bonus points he got 5 for the pole as well. So every little bit helped.
Indeed it is. No, it's been a fantastic night. Ferrari getting the job done. 3rd win of the season for Ferrari. BMW have 2, Mercedes have 1. They are expected to be the dominant manufacturers in the remaining 3 rounds. 3 of the 4 at least, because the Ferrari driver himself, Dennis Gatterick, seems to think that he'll have the legs when we get to Barber. We wait to see if that'll be the case. Hope you've enjoyed Monday Night Motorsport for Central Coast Subaru, LJ Hooker Gander and Oculair, as the Gentleman Sim Racing Club comes to you live, free and dangerous, right here on Do a Drift Esports. Thanks very much to Paul Nichols, Nico Pop and Robert Hazeldine for their help in the broadcast this evening. Thanks, of course, to Adam Lavis for setting the cameras up and getting the points to us pretty well straight after the race had wrapped up. Thanks to all the drivers for coming in to have a chat to us as well. We look forward to doing it all again in a little under 48 hours from now. Until then, have a great night, everybody. Thanks for your company. We'll see you Wednesday when we head back to the east coast of the United States after spending the last 2 nights of broadcast on the west coast. And it is very much an American swing for the next 7 days, and one that we're looking forward to. So, up and comers. Our first look at open wheelers since May. Our first look at street circuits. Full stop. As far as Do a Drift Esports Motorsport is concerned for the Gentleman Sim Racing Club when we reconvene on Wednesday night. Until then, for the team, I'm Zach Caban. Have a great night. Bye for now.
Say goodbye.